Hello. So we're gonna do some time video since it's a little bit too chilly to go fishing. I'm gonna tie a beast fly. This is Greg Popovic's beast fly, but mine's a little bit smaller because I'm fishing freshwater mainly for largemouth bass. And so I'd say this is about 5 inches, 6 inches long, and yeah, we're gonna use kind of the same color scheme. I've got some really nice gray bucktail, and maybe I'll mix the gray and the white, and then so we'll mix the gray and the white, and then we'll do a little bit olive on the head. So we'll try to mix up some colors in there, and we'll have plenty of flash, and so hopefully it turns out okay. All right, here we go. The first thing we do is we have to prep our mono, and this is a very cheap monofilament. There's some Korean writing on there. I believe it's maybe 30 or 45 pound test, but we will prep this, just snip off a bit here, and then we have to, here's our mono. You can try to kind of stretch it out, but it might be a losing battle. The thread we're going to use is some 200 denier GSP. This stuff is super strong, which is good. We need it strong. And then we're going to take our piece of mono and we're going to start our thread. You can hold it along here, make one wrap, then holding the thread, pinching it, and pinching the monofilament as well, you're going to start looping. And we want to cover all of this monofilament with thread, so you can have some fun. You can go fast and angle it up, angle it down, and cover the entire thing. So on our piece of thread, we've covered about 2 inches with thread, and this is the portion we're going to tie on. We're going to tie maybe 3 or 4 clumps of bucktail on this, and so we want to then clip the end of our mono, and this is where we're going to start our first wraps. I have my first clump of bucktail. This is going to be for the tail, the end of the tail, and I've picked out all the short hairs, and I've only have the long hairs. And you want to be sparse with the tail, and how you're going to attach it to our mono. We're going to hold up our mono. Then we're going to just place our thread on it, or our bucktail rather. We're going to hold up our mono, and we're going to place our bucktail on it, and we're going to kind of smush it around the mono. And then with our thread, we're going to do 2 loose wraps, and then you're going to work that bucktail with your forefinger and your thumb. Work that bucktail around that mono so it's kind of covering, and then you're going to want to go pull tight as you dare, and then once it's tight, it's time to spin again, and spin, and this is your tail. Very good. Spin, and stop. And you can go ahead and you can clean up these ends. Don't cut yourself. Important part of this is super glue, and so here's some Loctite. We're gonna, after every time we wrap the bucktail, we're going to add some super glue. So here is our toothpick, and we're gonna just add a little super glue onto where we tied. And we're gonna wait for that to dry a bit, maybe a couple wraps around. But that's gonna be the start of our fly. Here is our second clump of bucktail. It's in gray. We want to match it with our existing tail, and we want it slightly behind so it has a taper. And so I think that'll be good right there. And we can then go ahead and trim it up, trim it up. And then this clump is going to be reverse tied. So we're going to take our mono again. We're going to place our bucktail on top like we did. 2 loose wraps. And smush it in. Work it around. Work it around. That looks pretty good. And then tight as you dare. And then start start flinging. And that looks pretty good. I like to trim these ends. And you could add some super glue here. I don't, but it would be beneficial if you did. And then you're going to want to work your bucktail back and you're looking for that kind of full coverage around. They have tools, but I just assume use my fingers and brush it back. That looks good. The tricky part then is advancing your thread forward. I like to just do it nice and slowly, and then try to work out if it has caught any of the pieces. And then we're gonna go around the world again here. Hold on tight around the world. And stop. And let's get our thread back up, and let's go around the world again. Around the world. And stop. Right. Okay. And now I think this would be a good time to, well, this is the time to start adding your flash. So we have a few strands of flash here, and you're going to want to kind of measure them up on this tail. A few loose wraps, and then get the remainder, move it up, and tie it forward. A few loose wraps, and then let's go around the world. Around the world. Let's go around the world. And yeah, that looks good. That looks good. All right, let's now move or advance our thread up a little bit. And And let's drop our super glue. Super duper. All right. We have our third clump of white. Let's measure it up so it's shorter than the end here. I think about there is good. We can cut our ends. Let's get our rig. Let's go ahead, place it down. We'll go too loose. And tight as you dare. Around the world. And trim our butts. And then we have our ends here. Work them forward. The old chimney sweeper. Work them forward. And work it around. Let's go around the world. Bring it back up. Let's go around the world. And one more time. Around the world. And now, well, let's add some flash. I have our fourth clump, if you include the tail. Ooh, got a little super glue on me. Our fourth clump, I already measured it out. It's a gray clump. And maybe this will be our last clump. Let's go ahead, set it down. We'll go too loose. And smush. Smush, smush, smush. Work it around. Then tight, tight, tight. And around the world. And trim our butts. Work it back. Work it back. Work it back. Distribution on this one wasn't so good. That's okay. Working it back. And then let's move our thread forward. Bring it up. And around the world. One more time. And one more time. Let's move our thread forward. And let's glue. And we'll move this glue all the way down so it's catching that thread. Perfect. All right. Now our tail section is finished. We're not going to add any more flash. We'll add flash when we add it to the hook. But this is going to be our tail section. And then we'll add it to the hook. All right, we're back. I had to take a little break. But we're going to go ahead and finish this fly now. So we have this tail portion, and you want to kind of find the best side and how you want this to situate. But you're going to put this on your hook, and then once you find the side you want to be up, you can kind of flatten the mono, and so it will set on the hook and won't roll around. So let's go ahead and we'll get a hook. We have, I think this is a good one, maybe a size 1, size 2, size 1. And we'll go ahead and adjust the vise. All right. Just make a thread base. We can cut. After our thread base, we're going to attach our tail. And I think this, just like that, is how we're going to want it. And make sure it's sitting up top well. Or secure it down. And add some glue. Good. Okay. We can come back over. We can now start on the body portion. We're going to start tying clumps in, and maybe 1, 2, 3, and then a head. The clumps of bucktail for the body can be significantly thicker or more material. I'd say almost double the material we used for the tail. So we're going to use a little bit bigger clump. Let's adjust our tips, but we don't care too much. And then we can go ahead and tie them in. Too loose. Mash it down. working. That's good. And then tight, tight, tight. Tight, tight, tight. And trim it out. Tight, tight, tight. All right, now we're gonna pack it back. And be careful not to stab yourself with the point of the hook. That's a pretty good flare, good distribution. Work it back. Work it back, work it back. Oh yeah, that's good. And bring it forward. And make it bump. And we will add our flash. Let's add our flash. All right. Here's our flash. Don't need too much. That's good. That looks good. That looks good. Too loose. And work them around. Then bring them around. There we go. There we go. All right, and glue. Super, super duper. Let's do our next clump, which is gray. These ones are nice and long. Let's line them up. About there is good. We have to take a little bit off. Okay. Let's put it in. Too loose. Work it around. And then tight, tight, tight. Tight, tight, tight. That's good. Trim it out. And we'll set it back. Set it back. Making our bump. let's put in our flash. A little bit of flash. And working that around. That's good. Bring it back. That's good. And glue. This is going to be our last big clump. We're going to use white. Let's clean it up a bit. There, it looks good. Trim our ends. That's fine. Then we will place it. 2 wraps. Work it, work it. Work it, work it. That's good. Tight, tight, tight. Tight, tight, tight. That's okay. Okay. Let's trim our butts. Yeah. We're gonna go ahead and make the head now. I'm gonna mix olive and white. And so I have my bucktail. I'm gonna mix them. This can be a little bit messy, so you're gonna want to be careful. But I'm just working them with my fingers here. That looks good. And I'm not gonna reverse tie this one in. I'm I'm going to try to trim it up a bit. I'm just going to set it in like this. And I'm going to go tight, 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 tight. And underneath, we're going to go white. Actually, and let's do a mix underneath. Let's do a chartreuse. And we'll do gray. Since we mix the top, we can mix the bottom. Just working this bucktail in my fingers here. Okay, that'll be fine. And we'll measure it out. Place it up top. Nice and tight. Nice and tight. And I can go ahead and whip finish. Let's whip finish again. Make sure that's tightly on there. Let's go ahead and cut our string, our thread, tying string. Okay, now we can trim up this head here. Trim it up. Trim it up. That's good. We got some strays we can. Okay. Put some glue on the head. And glue's important. Our eyeballs are going to sit on this glue. go ahead and get our eyes. Some bigger eyes here. I'll just place them to begin with. And we'll place the other one on this side. Good. And then we can squeeze them so they're sitting nice. Yeah. Make sure they're even. All right, yeah, I think that's, oh, this one's slipping. This one is slipping. Let's add a little bit of UV. Alrighty, there she is, finished. We have to let the UV cure. I usually like to let it sit near the window, near the sun, so it can get some more UV, and then we'll shape it. We'll run it underwater, and then we'll let it drip dry. But it's got everything it needs. It's got a nice skinny tail, got a kind of triangular body, so that will shape up very nicely. And that will catch, hopefully, a 5-pound bass. Okay, all right.